Billy's parents took a vacation and the whole family went to the mountains. They rented a 2-room apartment in a cozy hotel near the mountain. A very fast river flowed next to the hotel, where vacationers were not allowed to swim, but they could fish. Bill spent most of his time in his room because he had a bad headache. That's why he often went out to the balcony, from where the river could be seen in the palm of his hand. On the bank of the river, he often saw his parents fishing and having a good time. Suddenly, the child noticed something in the forest near the river. There, behind many trees, was some kind of animal. Although it couldn't be seen very well from a distance, it looked very strange. He was completely white and so thin that you could easily count the vertebrae and ribs on his body. He looked like an animal because he was on his knees and his hands were on the ground. The boy realized that something was wrong. At first he thought it might be a wolf, and because of that he started waving his hands and shouting. Soon the parents also noticed the child standing on the balcony, put the fishing items in the basket requested from the hotel, and went home. Mom was worried, thinking that Billy's headaches had gotten worse or that he was suffering from another health problem. At home, the daughters asked the boy what had happened, and Billy told him what he saw in the forest, and also told him that at first he thought it was a wolf, but now he realized that it was some other creature. The mother immediately brought a thermometer and said that maybe the boy had a high fever and it seemed like something. The father did not make a sound and looked directly into his son's eyes. At night, when Billy and his mother slept soundly, his father stood by the window and looked out over the river. A cold sweat was pouring on his forehead, and it seemed that he was thinking a lot about something. After a while, he came to the boy, sat down by his bed, and carefully woke him up. At the same time, he didn't want his mother to wake up because he wanted to talk to Billy alone. The surprised boy looked at his father, and his father asked him to tell him everything he saw between the trees. Billy told him that even if he told him, he wouldn't believe him, and the father insisted that his son tell him everything. After a few minutes of fruitless pleading, the father took out a sheet of paper from his suitcase, which was folded into 4 parts. He handed the paper to his son and asked him to open it. This time, the boy believed him and slowly unfolded the paper. When he looked at her, fear crossed his face. On this sheet of plaster, yellowed with age, was drawn in pencil the very creature that Billy had seen that day. But everything was described in more detail than on paper. 2 long, squishy, giant eyes of this white creature were visible, which at the same time were not eyes, because there was such a void in that place. The eyes of Tico had been torn out. He had very long claws on his hands. Billy confirmed to his father that even though he couldn't see clearly, it was definitely something like that. After hearing this, the father jumped up in amazement, put his hands on his head, and said that as soon as it dawned, they would leave this place. Later, Billy could not sleep again. It felt as if something bad was happening around, and everyone was in danger. At 4 o'clock in the morning, when the boy woke up scared after half an hour of sober sleep, he saw something terrible behind the window. That was what scared my father so much. It rested its long, clawed hands on the boy's bedroom window and stared at him with its bulging eyes. Billy was lying in bed and couldn't make a sound. He was almost paralyzed because his whole body was numb. No one knows exactly where or how, but the creature's hands suddenly found themselves at Billy's bed and touched him just as the door to the room opened. It was the father, wearing a spiked castet given to him by a friend on his fingers, and looking furious. The long clawed hands disappeared as suddenly as they appeared, and the boy immediately jumped up, ran to his father, and hugged him tightly. Billy was saved by his father. Who knows what that monster did to him? The next day, when they got home, Dad took out a lot of papers from an old dusty bag he kept under his bed. Out of these many sheets, he handed his son one photo of a little 7-year-old boy. "Is that you?" Billy asked his father. "No, this is my younger brother, who was found bleeding in his bed after being attacked by an animal when I was only 10 years old." "What? What animal did this?" asked a nervous and scared Billy. This one did it." The father again handed the picture drawn on the old plate to his son, on which the inexplicable creature was depicted. "This was drawn by my younger brother the day before this creature attacked him." Also, I remind you that 99% of viewers are not subscribed to the channel, and in order to actively continue posting interesting horror stories on this channel, please subscribe me and like the video. Thanks for watching it until the end.